Writing an Icon with elementary schools. Hello teachers, and thank you for being part of this iconographer in, well, at least virtual residence. I'm happy to do this with you and your whole entire school because this gives me an opportunity not only to do an art project with your kids, but also to do a little bit of praying and teaching. As a Catholic priest, I am all about inspiring them, hopefully, to love God more and more, and you as well. So, in this little short pre-video, the session 0, I just wanted to explain a few things. Number 1, the goal of painting an icon is 99% to have a relationship with God, to be able to be made in His image, not necessarily to make His image. We realize that God created each of us so that we would be like Him. And unfortunately, due to sin, we're not. So our goal is to recreate ourselves, to come back to who we were supposed to be. So the process of painting can be messy, and the results are often messy, and that's cool. Of course, we want to try and do our best to make the most beautiful image that we can, because that'll help us so that we can pray before it. But ultimately, the image brings us to the person who is the one we're praying to. We're not praying before this board and this paint. We are praying before Christ, who this image helps us connect with. Okay, so the results will vary from child to child and from adult to adult. But basically, we want everyone to come up with an icon kind of like this. Now, I realize that the younger kids, probably kindergarten to grade 3, should probably not try and do the whole entire image with all the details. For them, I'm happy with them filling in the main areas with solid color. If the background, the hair, the clothes, the face, and the halo are all painted with the color, and the proper color, then you can see the face of Christ, mostly because it's been carved into the wood. You'll notice, hopefully, or at least you might not notice, that I've given images with deeper carvings to the younger grades, and with shallower carvings to the older grades. That's because the older grades are going to do a few extra things that the younger grades won't. They will try and put the face of Christ with some highlights. They'll try and bring out the light from within. If you're working with the younger kids, kind of kindergarten to grade 3, or if your older kids just can't handle it, try and get to stage, I think it's 7. I'll put the number up here right away. For those of you who have advanced kids or older kids, try and get right to the end to lesson number 12, and that way they can get the fullest experience possible. Now, our goal is to do about 45 minutes a day for 5 days, but I don't know exactly how it's going to go for you. If I was present with you, I would certainly be able to help things move along faster, or maybe explain more to slow things down. But because of COVID, unfortunately, I'm not able to be present with you at this time. So you're going to have to play it by ear. If you need to speed things up, speed things up. If you need to slow things down, slow things down. But the goal, again, is to prayerfully create an image of Christ. If you need to simplify, don't feel bad about simplifying. So, what lessons do you need to do if you're younger classes? Well, here's a chart. I recommend breaking them up so that you can do lesson 1 and 2 on Monday. Frankly, number 1 is just distributing things and putting your name on the back of the icon. And number 2 is simply painting the background a solid color. On Tuesday, I would do the flesh as well as the clothes. That's 3 different colors, but it's filling in spaces again. Day number 3, Wednesday, I would do the hair. Now there's a little bit more, well, we got a mustache, a beard, and the hair. 3 kind of areas to fill in. So they have to pay a little bit more attention to what they're doing. Day number 4 is a little tiny spot on Jesus's right shoulder, as well as doing the eyes and the eyebrows. This is what really makes Jesus look at you. And finally, day 5 is painting on the halo, that round thing around their head, which is golden colored. And on that last day, I would also pray along with you and do a blessing. Of course, physically, I'm not going to be there to sprinkle holy water or anything, but at least we'll hold up the icons and ask God to bless them, and I'll pray along with you. All right, now for how to split up the lessons for the older kids. You have 13 lessons, which sounds intimidating, but at the same time, several of them are very easy. Number 1 is just introducing what's an icon and getting the kids to put their name on the back of the icon. Easy peasy. Number 2 and number 3 are just filling in areas. Number 2 is filling in the background. Number 3 is filling in all the flesh. On the next day, I would recommend doing for 5B and 6, which is the clothes, again, filling in the spaces, the hair, which is filling in spaces, and number 6 is putting some stripes in the bottom right corner on Jesus's shoulder. Pretty darn easy. Your kids, especially with their experience from the previous day, will get through this quickly. On Wednesday, I recommend 7B. The eyes are slightly more complex than what I'm doing for the kindergarten students, but it's pretty easy. Let's see, then we're going to color in the halo, and then the hardest part probably is doing the lettering and the lines of the halo. They're going to follow along in the etching as best as they can. One thing I might recommend is water down your paint a little bit. It'll flow a little bit nicer. Don't water it too much though. On Thursday is the day that you're going to spend the most time and effort. If you really need to, you might want to bump some of this up to the previous day to make Thursday an easier day. But we're going to do the whole painting the face of Christ. I'm doing this step by step, little tiny area by little tiny area, so that hopefully they can follow along and have a Jesus that kind of looks like a Jesus. It is harder for some kids. They might get frustrated, but just encourage them that the most important part is the prayer, and they can do a pretty good job. Just watch them. They'll amaze you. So Thursday is a fuller day. Friday is the last details. They get to put streaks in their hair so it looks almost as good as mine does. And then afterwards, the lips and a little bit of border around the clothes that Jesus is wearing. And then the final step is simply having prayers said so that we can bless the icons. I wish I could be there in person to sprinkle the holy water, but we're going to have to do it virtually this time. Everyone will hold up the icon and we will pray out loud together. My first tip for everyone is to relax and pray. That certainly helps this whole process so that it's much better. Tip number 2 is don't distribute too much paint. A little bit of paint goes a long way. If you distribute a lot of paint and they spill, it's a bigger mess. If you distribute all of it and then you need some the next day of the same color, well, you've distributed it all, so there's not much left. Don't panic. I normally give some extra paint to everyone as well. Discourage kids from putting paint on really heavy. The more they spread it out, the quicker it'll dry. The quicker it dries, the more you can move ahead. So encourage your kids. Walk around and just tell them, hey, spread that out a little bit more. You don't need to use as much paint. The next tip is to clean the brushes between colors. You don't have to do very much. Just take the brush and your water and just kind of swish it back and forth. Sometimes you can press it against the side and then wipe it with some paper towel. It's not very difficult to wipe a brush. Just do it and you'll be ready for your next color. At the end of the day, you might want to swish a little bit longer just to make sure you get all the paint out, because if it dries in there, then your bristles become hard and it's really hard to paint the next day. So again, just put it in water, swish it around, move it until all the pigment's out of it. Pretty easy. And there's lots of other common sense things. Encourage the kids to participate, to pray along. If there's any spills, clean them up as fast as you can so they don't spread. Just use water. It's acrylic paint. Once it's dry, it is dry. It's hard to get out. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to learn more, or if you want me to talk to the kids, just call me. I'm good at text and I'm good at phones. I suck at emails, but here's all the information. There's all the information anyway. Please do just give me a call. I really hope this goes smoothly for you. If you have any concerns or anything, you can also let me know, and I'll try and help out however I can. Hope it goes good, and we'll talk to you soon. Writing an icon with elementary schools.